If you've ever been told to just relax when you're anxious, well, let's set the record straight. Stress and anxiety are a part of life, but the way we think about them can actually make them worse. Hello and welcome. I'm Carol Covelli, a licensed therapist, and this is Redefining 40 Plus, the channel supporting the mental and emotional wellness of women over 40. And today we're here to break down some common myths about stress and anxiety that might be keeping you stuck. Myth number one, stress is just a part of life. The reality is, yeah, stress is common, but suffering through it is not inevitable. Yes, stress happens, but normalizing chronic stress is where you get into trouble. And many women over 40 have been taught that being exhausted, overextended, and constantly worried is just a part of being an adult, especially if you're balancing work and family and overall life responsibilities. But here's the truth. Just because something is common doesn't mean it's healthy. Our bodies aren't designed to stay in a constant state of tension, and over time, it takes a toll. It takes a toll on your sleep, on your digestion, your mood, and even your ability to think clearly. So, recognizing that stress isn't just the way life is can open the door to actually doing something about it. And this leads us to myth number two: if I ignore it, it will go away. Reality? Stress and anxiety don't just disappear, they resurface in other ways. And women are masters at powering through, pushing feelings down and getting things done. But what happens when stress gets ignored? It doesn't just fade, it finds another way to show up. Maybe you develop headaches or issues with your digestion, or gastrointestinal issues. Maybe you snap at someone over something small and then just feel guilty later. Maybe you just feel fine all day until you try to sleep and your brain won't shut off. I mean, your body remembers what your mind tries to ignore. And the key takeaway here is acknowledging stress isn't about giving in. It's about giving yourself the space to work through it instead of carrying it silently and suffering in one way or another. And myth number three, coping skills should be enough. Well, the reality is coping skills are helpful, but they don't address what's underneath. And especially if your stress and anxiety are chronic and interfering with your life, they can feel like just band-aids on a bigger issue. So, you have your deep breaths, your meditation, your exercise, and they're all great. I tell people to do it all the time, but they don't always work if you're stuck in a cycle of constantly managing stress without ever resolving what's underneath it. So when you feel stress and anxiety are always around, coping skills can be like bailing water out of a sinking boat instead of just fixing the leak. If you're constantly feeling anxious or stressed, it's worth asking, where is this really coming from? What's going on underneath? Am I responding to what's happening now? Or is this response because of something from the past? I mean, coping skills help manage symptoms, but deeper work helps shift the patterns that keep bringing them back. And the key takeaway, instead of just managing stress, just ask, what is this stress really about? That's where the change can happen. And finally, myth number four, only weak people struggle with anxiety. What? The reality? Strength doesn't mean never struggling. It means knowing when you are struggling and when to get support. Many able and successful women struggle with anxiety. They're used to being the responsible one, the dependable one, the one who has it all together. But the problem is that role doesn't have much room for struggle or being human. If you've been praised for being strong, it can feel like a failure to admit that you need support. Well, the truth is, anxiety isn't a weakness. If anything, it's a sign that your brain and body have been working overtime to try and protect you. And that's something worth understanding, not ignoring or judging. And the key takeaway is seeking support isn't about admitting weakness. It's about acknowledging your worth and deciding you don't have to carry it alone. So let's sum this up. Stress and anxiety may be common, but that doesn't mean you have to suffer through it, suffer alone, or in silence. Ignoring it won't make it go away. coping skills are helpful, but they do have their limitations. And sometimes you just need more support, and struggling with anxiety has nothing to do with weakness. If any of this resonated for you, please let me know in the comments. I mean, what's one myth about stress or anxiety that you've believed? And if you want more information about the mental health and the emotional well-being for women over 40, then just please like, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.